بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم إني أسألك برحمتك التي وسعت كل شيء، وبقوتك التي قهرت بها كل شيء، وخضع لها كل شيء، وذل لها كل شيء، وبجبروتك التي غلبت بها كل شيء، وبعزتك التي لا يقوم لها شيء، وبعظمتك التي ملأت كل شيء، وبسلطانك الذي على كل شيء، وبوجهك الباقي بعد فناء كل شيء، وبأسمائك التي ملأت أركان كل شيء، وبعلمك الذي أحاط بكل شيء، وبنور وجهك الذي أضاء له كل شيء. يا نور يا قدوس، يا أول الأولين ويا آخر الآخرين. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تهتك العصام. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل النقم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تغير النعم. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تحبس الدعاء. اللهم اغفر لي الذنوب التي تنزل البلاء. اللهم اغفر لي كل ذنب أذنبته وكل خطيئة أخطأتها. اللهم إني أتقرب إليك بذكرك، وأستشفع بك إلى نفسك، وأسألك بجودك أن تدنيني من قربك، وأن توزعني شكرك، وأن تلهمني ذكرك. اللهم إني أسألك سؤال خاضع متذلل خاشع، أن تسامحني وترحمني وتجعلني بقسمك راضيا قانعا، وفي جميع الأحوال متواضعا. اللهم وأسألك سؤال من اشتدت فاقته وأنزل بك عند الشدائد حاجته، وعظم فيما عندك رغبته. اللهم عظم سلطانك وعلى مكانك، وخفي مكرك، وظهر أمرك، وغلب قهرك، وجرت قدرتك، ولا يمكن الفرار من حكومتك. اللهم لا أجد لذنوبي غافرا، ولا لقبائحي ساترا، ولا لشيء من عملي القبيح بالحسن مبدلا غيرك. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك وبحمدك. ظلمت نفسي وتجرأت بجهلي، وسكنت إلى قديم ذكرك لي ومنك علي. اللهم مولاي كم من قبيح سترته، وكم من فادح من البلاء أقلته، وكم من عثار وقيته، وكم من مكروه دفعته، وكم من ثناء جميل لست أهلا له نشرته. اللهم عظم بلائي وأفرط بي سوء حالي، وقصرت بي أعمالي، وقعدت بي أغلالي، وحبسني عن نفعي بعد أملي، وخدعتني الدنيا بغرورها، ونفسي بخنايتها ومطالي. يا سيدي، فأسألك بعزتك ألا يحجب عنك دعائي سوء عملي وفعالي، ولا تفضحني بخفي ما اطلعت عليه من سري، ولا تعاجلني بالعقوبة على ما عملته في خلواتي من سوء فعلي وإساءتي ودوام تفريطي وجهالتي وكثرة شهواتي وغفلتي. وكن اللهم بعزتك لي في كل الأحوال رؤوفا، وعلي في جميع الأمور عطوفا. إلهي وربي من لي غيرك، أسأله كشف ضري والنظر في أمري. إلهي ومولاي، أجريت علي حكما اتبعت فيه هوى نفسي، ولم أحترس فيه من تزيين عدوي، فغرني بما أهوى وأسعده على ذلك القضاء، فتجاوزت بما جرى علي من ذلك بعض حدودك، وخالفت بعض أوامرك، فلك الحمد علي في جميع ذلك، ولا حجة لي فيما جرى علي فيه قضاؤك، وألزمني حكمك وبلاؤك. وقد أتيتك يا إلهي بعد تقصيري وإسرافي على نفسي، معتذرا نادما منكسرا مستقيلا مستغفرا منيبا مقرا مذعنا معترفا. لا أجد مفرا مما كان مني، ولا مفزعا أتوجه إليه في أمري، غير قبولك عذري وإدخالك إياي في سعة من رحمتك. اللهم فاقبل عذري، وارحم شدة ضري، وفكني من شد وثاقي. يا رب ارحم ضعف بدني، ورقة جلدي، ودقة عظمي. يا من بدأ خلقي وذكري وتربيتي وبري وتغذيتي، هبني لابتداء كرمك وسالف برك بي. يا إلهي وسيدي وربي، أتراك معذبي بنارك بعد توحيدك، وبعد من طوى عليه قلبي من معرفتك، ولهج به لساني من ذكرك، واعتقده ضميري من حبك، وبعد صدق اعترافي ودعائي خاضعا لربوبيتك. هيهات أنت أكرم من أن تضيع من ربيته، أو تبعد من أدنيته، أو تشرد من آويته، أو تسلم إلى البلاء من كفيته ورحمته. وليت شعري يا سيدي وإلهي ومولاي، أتسلط النار على وجوه خرت لعظمتك ساجدة، وعلى ألسن نطقت بتوحيدك صادقة، وبشكرك مادحة، وعلى قلوب اعترفت بإلهيتك محققة، وعلى ضمائر حوت من العلم بك حتى صارت خاشعة، وعلى جوارح سعت إلى أوطان تعبدك طائعة، وأشارت باستغفارك مذعنة. ما هكذا الظن بك، ولا أخبرنا بفضلك عنك يا كريم. يا ربي، وأنت تعلم ضعفي عن قليل من بلاء الدنيا وعقوباتها، وما يجري فيها من المكاره على أهلها، على أن ذلك بلاء ومكروه قليل مكثور، يسير بقاؤه قصير مدته. فكيف احتمالي لبلاء الآخرة وجليل وقوع المكاره فيها، وهو بلاء تطول مدته ويدوم مقامه، ولا يخفف عن أهله، لأنه لا يكون إلا عن غضبك وانتقامك وسخطك، وهذا ما لا تقوم له السماوات والأرض. يا سيدي فكيف لي وأنا عبدك الضعيف الذليل الحقير المسكين المستكين. يا إلهي وربي وسيدي ومولاي، لأي الأمور إليك أشكو، ولما منها ضج وأبكي، لأليم العذاب وشدته أم لطول البلاء ومدته؟ فلئن سيرتني للعقوبات مع أعدائك وجمعت بيني وبين أهل بلائك وفرقت بيني وبين أحبائك وأوليائك، فهبني يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي وربي. صبرت على عذابك فكيف أصبر على فراقك، وهبني صبرت على حر نارك فكيف أصبر عن النظر إلى كرامتك. هم كيف أسكن في النار ورجائي عفوك، فبعزتك يا سيدي ومولاي أقسم صادقا، لئن تركتني ناطقا لأضجن إليك بين أهلها ضجيج العاملين، ولأصرخن إليك صراخ المستصرخين، ولأبكين عليك بكاء الفاقدين، ولأنادينك أين كنت يا ولي المؤمنين، يا غاية آمال العارفين، يا غياث المستغيثين، يا حبيب قلوب الصادقين، ويا إله العالمين. أفتراك سبحانك يا إلهي وبحمدك تسمع فيها صوت عبد مسلم سجن فيها بمخالفته، وذاق طعم عذابها بمعصيته، وحبس بين أطباقها بجرمه وجريرته، وهو يضج إليك ضجيج مؤمل لرحمتك، ويناديك بلسان أهل توحيدك، ويتوسل إليك بربوبيتك. يا مولاي فكيف يبقى في العذاب وهو يرجو ما سلف من حلمك؟ أم كيف تؤلمه النار وهو يأمل فضلك ورحمتك؟ أم كيف يهرقه لهيبها وأنت تسمع صوته وترى مكانه؟ أم كيف يشتمل عليه زفيرها وأنت تعلم ضعفه؟ أم كيف يتقلقل بين أطباقها وأنت تعلم صدقه؟ أم كيف تزجره زبانيتها وهو يناديك يا ربه؟ أم كيف يرجو فضلك في عتقه منها فتتركه فيها؟ هيهات ما ذلك الظن بك، ولا المعروف من فضلك، ولا مشبه لما عملت به الموحدين من برك وإحسانك. فباليقين أقطع لولا ما حكمت به من تعذيب جاحديك وقضيت به من إخلاد معانديك، لجعلت النار كلها بردا وسلاما، وما كان لأحد فيها مقرا ولا مقاما. لكنك تقدست أسماؤك، أقسمت أن تملأها من الكافرين من الجنة والناس أجمعين، وأن تخلد فيها المعاندين، وأنت جل ثناؤك قلت مبتدئا، وتطولت بالإنعام متكرما. أفمن كان مؤمنا كمن كان فاسقا لا يستوون. إلهي وسيدي، فأسألك بالقدرة التي قدرتها وبالقضية التي حتمتها وحكمتها وغلبت من عليه أجريتها، أن تهبني في هذه الليلة وفي هذه الساعة كل جرم أجرمت وكل ذنب أذنبت وكل قبيح أسررت وكل جهل عملت كتمته أو أعلنته أخفيته أو أظهرت وكل سيئة أمرت بإثباتها الكرام الكاتبين الذين وكلتهم بحفظ ما يكون مني وجعلتهم شهودا علي مع جوارحي وكنت أنت الرقيب علي من ورائهم والشاهد لما خفي عنهم وبرحمتك أخفيته وبفضلك سترته وأن توفر حظي من كل خير أنزلته أو إحسان فضلته أو بر نشرته أو رزق بسطته أو ذنب تغفره أو خطأ تستره يا ربي يا ربي يا رب يا إلهي وسيدي ومولاي ومالك رقي يا من بيده ناسيتي يا عليما بضري ومسكنتي يا خبيرا بفقري وفاقتي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب أسألك بحقك وقدسك وأعظم صفاتك وأسمائك أن تجعل أوقاتي من الليل والنهار بذكرك معمورة وبخدمتك موصولة وأعمالي عندك مقبولة حتى تكون أعمالي وأورادي كلها وردا واحدا وحالي في خدمتك سرمدا يا سيدي يا من عليهم أولي يا من إليه شكوت أحوالي يا ربي يا ربي يا رب قو على خدمتك جوارحي واشدد على العزيمة جوانحي وهب لي الجد في خشيتك والدوام في الاتصال بخدمتك حتى أسرح إليك في ميادين السابقين وأسرع إليك في البارزين وأشتاق إلى قربك في المشتاقين وأدنو منك دنو المخلصين وأخافك مخافة الموقنين وأجتمع في جوارك مع المؤمنين اللهم ومن أرادني بسوء فأرده ومن كادني فكده واجعلني من أحسن عبيدك نسيبا عندك وأقربهم منزلة منك وأخصهم زلفة لديك فإنه لا ينال ذلك إلا بفضلك وجد لي بجودك واعطف علي بمجدك واحفظني برحمتك واجعل لساني بذكرك لهجا وقلبي بحبك متيما ومن علي بحسن إجابتك وأقلني أثرتي واغفر زلتي فإنك قضيت على عبادك بعبادتك وأمرتهم بدعائك وضمنت لهم الإجابة فإليك يا ربي نسبت وجهي وإليك يا ربي مددت يدي فبعزتك استجب لي دعائي وبلغني مناي ولا تقطع من فضلك رجائي واكفني شر الجن والإنس من أعدائي يا سريع الرضا اغفر لمن لا يملك إلا الدعاء فإنك فعال لما تشاء يا من اسمه دواء وذكره شفاء وطاعته غنى ارحم من رأس ماله الرجاء وسلاحه البكاء يا سابغ النعم يا دافع النقم، يا نور المستوحشين في الظلم، يا عالما لا يعلم، صل على محمد وآل محمد وافعل بما أنت أهله. وصلى الله على رسوله والأئمة الميامين من آله وسلم تسليما كثيرا كثيرا. اللهم صل على محمد. رحم الله من قرأ الفاتحة.
Assalamu alaikum, everybody. Hope you're good. Zinat said leave plenty of time for discussion and questions, so I think I'm going to speak for 5 minutes and then we're just chatting. Right? Or I'll give you the option for sure. Right. Becoming the alchemist of your life is what we're here to do. And the formula for becoming the alchemist of your life is incredibly simple. It's basically this. There's this divine energy, right? Call it essence of God, God himself, the universal energy, the spirit that was breathed into us, whatever resonates. Call it whatever you want. It runs through all of us. The very thing that animates us, that breathes life into us, into each and every one of us, into everything that's around us. And whilst this soul, this divine essence and energy runs through us, our bodies breathe. It's not even us who breathe. The bodies just breathe. Like we forget to breathe and our bodies will just go, and take it in. And our hearts beat, and it doesn't stop from the minute that we're born. And I'm not talking about the minute you're born as a body into the world. I mean, when you're born as life into the fetus that's still in the womb, and the heart, as soon as that happens, it starts beating on its own and doesn't stop. I mean, I don't know, doctors here can tell me about, when it skips a beat and everything else. I don't have a clue about that. But imagine that rhythm that just keeps going on and on and on. And the only time that we notice its absence is when we see the cold stillness of a body of someone who's passed on. Because when it's time, it's time. The breath stops. The heart just stops. And in between that, we have life. And so this energy that flows through us, through nature, through the skies, through the stars, through everything, it's something more than just runs through us. Okay, we're created from it. And the thing is, it's always creating, it's always in movement. It's always doing its thing. That's what it does. Now here's the thing. There's something that we do, right? Every day, all the time, that molds and brings into form what this energy is constantly creating. So we influence it. And just being part of this whole divine system makes us constant creators. Each one of us is creating the life that we're living moment by moment. And the tool that we use for this is thought. What we spend our brain space on, what we engage our minds in, what thoughts we choose to focus on, what we give airtime to. All these things influence the quality and the clarity of our thinking, and ultimately influences the form and outcome of what we create. It's that simple. So I told you 5 minutes. We could literally just stop here and you've got the formula and we could go into questions. But okay, while I'm here, I'll just chat a little bit more. Now, just under a month ago, we were blessed with the night of Qadr, right? And the reason why I bring that up now is because maybe something will occur to us that gives us an opportunity to reflect back to the one that we were blessed to have been through. But it also gives us 10 months to get ready for the next one, right? 10 months in it is all you've got, all right? In case you need to start now. And so, on this very special night, the divine setting is the same, right? There's an energy, it's what we created from, it's always in creation, it runs through us, it runs through everything else, we're all connected, and thought is our influence on how we shape our lives. The thing about this night is, though, that the potency of this creative energy is amplified to the extent that its effect is instantaneous. It simply cannot be that we don't create on that night whatever it is that we truly desire. We're invited to co-create our lives. I see it as a practical, tangible step to the part of the ayah in Surah Baqarah that says, I respond to the call of the one who calls upon me. And this was like decades ago. I remember being in a tafsir class. I have no idea who was running it. I wish I did. But the one takeaway I'll never forget was what they said was that this is a promise from God. It's a non-negotiable. It's a done thing. You call, I'll respond. That's it. Job's done. The clarity of our thought and intention, though, determines the quality of our co-creation. The challenge that we have is this, that our thinking is often just so tangled, right? We're so caught up in it. We can't always tell the difference between thoughts that come from divine inspiration and those that stem from years, maybe even generations of expectations and belief systems and values and shoulds and musts and don'ts and resentment and hatred and anger and regret and frustration, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on. So instead of our thoughts and intentions being really clear about what we truly desire, they're shaped by society, family, community, friends, spouse, and they don't necessarily align with our soul. Now, it's like using a GPS. Not a perfect analogy, but I think it will do the job, all right? Because here's the thing, when it comes to becoming the alchemist of your life, your thoughts and intentions need to be crystal clear on where you want to go in your life and what you're willing to do to get there. The clarity sends this signal to the divine creative energy around us, and that's when life starts to take form and shape. So when you're programming something into your GPS, right, it just needs 2 bits of information. Where are you now and where you want to go? That's it. If you put those 2 things in there, it'll get you there, right? But if you put in your destination and say, yeah, I want to go here, but I actually even want to go here, and I'm not sure which one I want to do first, I probably want to do both at the same time. If I go here, actually, this person might feel a little bad. I really want to go there, but then I might be seen to be a bit selfish, And the GPS is going to be like, just, okay, what do you want me to do with all this information? Like, where are you? Where do you want to go? So if you did give it a clear, direct destination, it will certainly take you there. Now, it may be, and I did that on the way here, by the way, it takes a few unexpected turns. Or it might update your ETA and it's a bit more than you thought it was. And then you start doubting it. That, oh, I shouldn't have listened to this GPS today. I know that route would have been better. I think I should have gone down here, or whatever it is. And you may decide to go another way. And that's okay. But that doesn't mean that the GPS is broken. It just means that you bailed. And you either bailed because it wasn't looking like you were expecting it to look, or you got uncomfortable. Now, it's the same thing with the night of Qadr. If we enter it with that clarity, with knowing where we are and where we want to go, we end up, if we don't have that clarity, we end up with this, the vague, generic kind of prayers, Lord, sort out my sustenance, give me health, bless me, grant this one a child, grant that one A stars in A levels, grant this one a spouse, and it goes on, which is fine. Nothing wrong with that at all. Because you know what? It keeps life moving along, which is fine. But if we're honest, you probably end up more or less in the same place in life that you generally always are, right? Maybe a bit of movement. You know that phrase when you ask somebody, how's things going? Same old. Same old. It's been years, but it's same old. Here's the thing, though, that we're not here for mediocre stuff. We're here to alchemize stuff, right? You and only you are responsible for your path and your life. Where are you now? Where do you want to go? There's this one life, and it's a gift. Nobody is here by accident. The divine doesn't do extras. No one who's not meant to be here is here, right? So with this life, every day matters, right? Every intention creates. Every action counts. And the question is, what is your end game, right? When you come to the end of your road and you look back over your shoulder, what do you want to see? You know what? That's my life. That's my life. And I'm proud of it, right? Like when God says that He created us so He could be known, right? Or to know ourselves, to know God, we must know ourselves, right? All these things in my mind are just pointing to the same thing, that there is no separation from the God that's outside and the divine that runs within us. Right? God expresses through us, by us, and there is nothing mediocre about that. So, here's my invitation to you. Over the next 10 months, 3 things, all right? One is, notice your thoughts. Notice their quality. Notice the feelings they create in you. Notice the clarity that they hold. We're not fixing anything. We're not even doing anything. We're just creating the awareness. Secondly, notice your life. What feels aligned? What feels fulfilling? What feels like it's yours? I'm living my life, right? And on the other hand, what feels robotic? Like you're on a conveyor belt of sorts. You're living on autopilot. You're doing what's expected. You're doing what should be done. You're doing what must be done, right? The third thing, notice your intentions in all aspects of your life. How clear are you about what you want? Now, as you observe all of this, you might start to see that there are aspects of your life that you do want to change. There might be other aspects of your life that you actually want to enhance and have more of. You might notice new and unexpected desires come your way and you want to bring them into your life. Start taking notes if you like. Notice for yourself, what does this clear, directional intention look and feel like for you? And just by doing that, without forcing a single thing, your thoughts will start getting cleaner. Your life will already start shifting naturally, gently, and powerfully. By the time next Ramadan arrives, you will already have experienced transformation. And then those first 3 weeks, the first 3 weeks of Ramadan, spend that time priming yourself for the night of Qadr. Stay present to yourself as best as you can. Whether you're cooking, socializing, ferrying your kids everywhere, reciting du'as, wherever it is. But stay present to yourself. Stay present to those inner whisperings that come through. Notice the little nudges that come through. And ask the Almighty for clarity as we approach the last 10 days. And believe this, that on the night of Qadr, your heart and your soul will just bear itself open. And on that night, without a word to be said, just the silence itself will communicate so much, coming through you, connecting with this potent, instantaneous energy that God's blessed us with on that night. And just like that, it shall be done. And then next year, we'll be sitting here on the third Thursday after Ramadan, looking back, astonished at the alchemist that you truly are. That's it. I'm loving the feeling in this room right now. We could just stay in this feeling like forever and more. So take your time. We must have questions and discussions and comments. We absolutely must. And what I'll say is this, that if something occurs to you to say or share, then do it. Because oftentimes we start worrying about, I don't know if it's a good enough question, I don't know about this, I don't know if it's a good enough share, but you just don't know who needs to hear it. So the floor is yours. I'll start questioning you, like shamelessly. No problem, like absolutely, or I'll come up with some. But go on. What do you think? What are your thoughts? Oh, hang on. Do you want a mic? No, Muzammil can't. Do you need this one or do you need another one? Should I take this one off? We need a mic, Zinat.
Okay, I'll repeat that one then. So I was saying, when you mentioned about in life, there's some things, think about things that we feel like we might have to do or must do or expected to do. So does that mean that we shouldn't be doing those things, or maybe just balance them better with the things that we would like to do? And the second thing was, when you talked about, how when you're being more present and you get more clarity in your thoughts, and then things will kind of just come to you. But what if you don't like the things that come to you? Because even though deep down you might know that that's what you need, but it might be a bit scary, or it might just might turn your life upside down in some ways. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah? Okay, so, with the second one, I'm going to turn it back at you, because you started off with the question about being present and the shoulds and the musts. Being present, clarity of thoughts and all. And then you said, even though deep down you know, but then you're actually a bit worried that it might turn your life upside down. So, like, what do you think you would need to do in that situation? Or what would be maybe useful or helpful to do in that situation? All right, we know the answer. Okay. Look, with the have-tos and must-tos, first of all right, disclaimer, I'm increasingly realizing I don't know much. All right, so it's interesting that we say questions, but so I'll just share what occurs to me, is that the musts and the have-tos, where do they come from, is the question, all right? I feel like we have such an amazing software within us, right, when it comes to our heart and our soul and all that kind of thing, that when we're true to it, really true to it, we end up doing the things that we actually really need to do. A lot of the things that we think we need to do is just noise. It's where are they coming from, right? Whether it's like expectations, cultural, I don't know, whatever you want to call it, fear-based, societal-based, and all the rest of it. There isn't really much that we actually need to do in life, to be honest. What do we need to do? Eat minimal and drink minimal for our physical care, right? I mean, money-wise, we just really need enough to pay bills, if you go and look at it, put food on the table, really, right? We just need to love, accept. I mean, what really is there else to do in life? What is it that you actually need to do in life? Nothing. Everything is there for us. So it's time we die. We move on to the next, right? So the question is, when you think about the things that we must and need to do, should we do them? Is it really a need? The breathing even happens for us. We don't have to do it. The guidance is within us. We just have to listen to it. It's all there. There isn't much we need to do, I don't think, personally, without the noise. Next. Let's share, people. Sharing is caring. Yes, on the mic.
This is just about Zinathanti's second question. I think from my personal experience, when you have that feeling deep inside you and you kind of don't want to tap into it because you're scared of failure, or you're scared of how difficult it's going to be, or the change and what it's going to mean, for me, that discomfort or that disconnect of what's inside was just so much harder to live with. It almost like dampens your spirit and your being, and you don't, for me, didn't even feel like, I don't know, I couldn't get that clarity, or I couldn't enter my destination in my GPS because I didn't even know there was a GPS, and I didn't even know what the destination would look like. And so when you kind of tap into it, it's such a different feeling of, you still have so much fear because now you know what you want, and it's like, well, you need to get there and you're not sure if you will, or you're not sure the best way, but it's like you can now connect with that core and it helps you. So it's almost like you think it's going to be a worst evil, but it's actually like your best companion. So just thought I'd share that.
Yeah, I mean, I love that, because with fear and discomfort, we've been taught to avoid it, right? We tend to avoid it. It's not good. You need to be comfortable, and you shouldn't be scared and everything else. And I love, Sarah, your share, because fear is just feedback. Discomfort is just feedback that there's something going on. What you do with it, you know? Right? Okay, why am I sitting down? Because we'll have to move the mic soon. Oh, there you go. How did I just know that?
as you said, the first thing we should do is watch our thoughts, right? Well, what was the first thing? There were 3 things you said. Yeah, watch our thoughts. Now, I'm a real overthinker. I have a lot of thoughts every minute that go through my head. How do you filter them? Like, what do you do to think, okay, this is a thought that I need to sit with, and this is a thought that needs to pass by?
Okay, so for the overthinkers, I was one of them, like crazy, like, oh my God, what's the word? There's a word, something overthinker. Yeah, so I completely hear you, okay, on that. Noticing that you're an overthinker and you have that many thoughts going through itself is just a noticing, which is really all we need to do, right? And that's going to get you feeling, what does that feel like when your mind's overthinking? And that's it. Because what you'll find is just when you start noticing the amount of overthinking that you do, and when you sit in the feeling of what that's like, over time you'll just like say, you know what, I'm done with that. That's one thing I find. Second thing is, it's a habit. You've just been used to it. And it's just been part of the program, right? And as you start noticing it, and say if you get clear on the fact that I don't like this, I just want a quieter mind, you can see that already starts becoming an intention. That already starts becoming a focal point, right? And thought will create in your life what you want. Now, there is a difference between, I think, between those thoughts that just come in, like when the thought comes in like that says, I just want my mind to be a little quieter. That feels good, right? Your feeling's going to change with that. But the other thoughts that are coming through and just running through, the feeling's not going to be so great, yeah? And one of the things that you can see it as is like, imagine it's just a train station, all right? And thoughts are just going to keep coming and going, all right? Busier than New Street, it's just coming and going. It's up to you which train you want to sit on. You can pick. And say you have a thought, you get onto that train, you're moving along, it just doesn't feel good. You know what, you can get off that train. But then you might have another thought, and you sit on that train, and actually that feels really good. I'm just going to keep going with that. And just start noticing, even when you don't have the answers. But something will occur to you. Once your intention becomes clear on, I want to have a quieter mind, you'll just notice things comes your way. Something will come your way, and you'll be like, actually that helped, that actually felt good. And you'll just know that you want more. I think that's how it can work out. It's pretty simple and easy when we start going through life like that. No? Thank you. I don't know if that made any sense whatsoever. Did it? Yeah? Okay. Anybody else? Zinat's orders, guys, you cannot disrespect. Comments, shares, questions, the works. The boss has spoken.
I've got a whole list of comments. You're going to regret this. Okay, so to come back to Zinat's question and Sarah's comment, I wanted to share that metaphor about the pins and needles that we talked about the other day. So when you go through something difficult, uncomfortable, it's when you have, it's the same feeling as when you have pins and needles. You're going to start moving your leg to make it more comfortable. You're going to, massage it or whatever you need to do until that feeling passes. You're never going to go back to that initial position where your leg is numb so that you don't feel the pins and needles. You're going to go through with it until it's gone. Because you know that it gets better. And I think our problem is that we're scared of what's coming, and we have to believe that what's coming is better. So yeah, that's one thing that I wanted to share. I loved the idea of co-creation that you mentioned. Never heard that word used in that sense before. So that was really, really good. And I think when we talked about the fear, I think for me it's almost like we undermine God, like he would, give us life and just leave us to it. I also think that we have to experience that energy. I think most of our lives, it's been numbed by our surroundings, like you said, friends, family, upbringing, whatever it is. And we have to re-experience it. And I think once you've experienced it a bit, you just want more and more. And I think many of us have a tendency to say, later. We always find the excuses, we have children, we're working now, this, that, and the later never comes. So either you end up being 70, 80 and looking back and saying, what did I do with my life? Or God pushes you, stops you in your tracks and says, well, you've got no choice. That way, that road is just closed. You have to go the way that's destined for you. So it's better, that road is then more difficult, so it's better to pause early and, try to figure out the sat-nav from the time you sit in the car. When you talked about noticing your thoughts, so I think we talked about this a while ago, that journaling's just wasn't my thing at all. But I have to say, stopping, noticing, listening to the little voice and all of those things that may seem alien if you haven't tried it, but it helps a great deal. And for me, this year, what's helped me is planning, writing down my aims. So literally, I have a 2025 paper with what I'd like to achieve this year. And every month, at the end of the month, I go through, okay, what's gone well? What do I still need to work on? And that just keeps me on track. And that doesn't mean that I put pressure on myself that I have to, tick all the boxes, but it just kind of makes sure that I don't derail from my track. So that's really, really helped me. Yeah, and I think I'm going to give everybody else a chance.
So, just a couple of things, right? One is, this thing's addictive, all right? Once you start going down this road, and when you start realizing how simple life can actually be and feel, and how liberating it is on the other side, it is addictive. You can't stop. But I don't know, I think it's in a nice way. I was having some tea. I was having some yogi tea, some herbal tea, and these teas have little messages on the tea bags. And this one had this message saying something along the lines of all possibilities lie in the unknown. But when it comes to, that fear and discomfort, we're worried about the unknown, but really that's where the possibilities lie. I'll say one thing, that when we start navigating life from a place of trust and surrender, it is astonishing how simple life actually becomes to navigate and live. Take thoughts, for example, all right? Our feelings are directly connected to our thoughts. Right now, we could all get riled up, because I could get you all to be thinking about somebody who's really annoyed you, today, last week, last year, whatever, somebody who just hate their guts and everything else, winds you up, really frustrating and everything else. And we could just start thinking about this person or an event, talk about it, and before you know it, we're just like, right? Event's not even here. We're thinking about it, emotions are up, right? Change that to a pleasant experience, a really beautiful time that you had, right? Think about that, your feelings change. Sometimes we take our feelings very seriously. It's feedback, it's great feedback, I think, but you don't have to take it seriously, right? You say, I don't feel like going to the gym, right? If your intention is to go and you know how it's going to feel like and everything, okay, you're feeling like you don't want to go to the gym, okay, it's a thought, you don't want to go to the gym, maybe you don't want to get ready, maybe it's hassle, maybe it's cold, whatever. I don't have to take it seriously, right? Chances are if you change that thought to something else, think, I don't know, about the goal, how you feel after that, you'll be like, oh, actually that feels good, maybe I'll just go, right? Likewise, when, say, life is feeling so challenging and your feelings are all over the place, you don't have to do anything about it. You don't have to figure things out. You don't have to work it out. Because guess what's going to happen? Guaranteed the feeling's going to change. Even if you did nothing, the feeling's going to change. It might take a few hours, it might take a day, hell, it might take a week, right? But when those feelings change, things will feel calmer, mind will feel clearer, then do something about it, right? That urgency is just created by ourselves. It's not necessary. It just becomes really simple in my mind, I think. If you try it, let me know. If I look at the next person, maybe they'll have something to say like, or are we done? We haven't heard any of the men.
You mentioned about simplicity of life and that we should attain the basicness, like food, basic food stuff is met. Growth is not sought for in the way we are seeking at this point in our lives. How do you kind of balance that with the other flip side where we have, we're actually sitting here as privileged people, so we are in that position of privilege. How do you balance and come back to the other side where the food, basic food is not met, shelter is not met, and how do you channel yourself so that you have positive thoughts with those kind of interactions?
All right, so first things first, I didn't say it should be basic or that life should be minimal. What I was saying was that when we look at needs and musts, which is what we're saying, that should we not live life based on needs and musts? It's not a needs and a must, but if it's a desire, oh my God, yeah, 100%, go for it, right? So it's not so much about that. Curate the life that you want. Live the life that you want, all right? When it comes to these difficult questions about poverty and the global situation and stuff, first thing I'll say, and there's like so many different dimensions to it. First thing is like, I don't know. Because I think there are things about life and there are mysteries about life, and there's so much that's unseen and unknown even here in the realm that we live in that we're just unaware of. Right? So I've had like conversations with spiritual or energy teachers and all this, and they've had conversations with souls whose purpose to come into life was to simply raise the consciousness of humanity. All right? So there was this, I'm going to share the story, but I'm not saying hard and fast, black and white and everything else, because I just don't think any first. Yeah. Not me personally, but one of my teachers, or mentors, right? And so they had almost like this conversation with this soul who was physically disabled soul who was on earth, and big challenge for the mother, huge challenge for the mother. Life change and everything really tough and all the rest of it. And once the lady had come to a point where her heart had expanded, her soul had grown to the point that she was okay, literally plopped into the pool and drowned and died. So the headlines was he died. But the purpose of that soul was to come to increase the consciousness of something like that, right? Okay, these are just snippets. I'm just sharing snippets. When you look on a global scale and the state of it, the divine secrecy and stuff, I don't know, is the bottom line, right? The souls who are going through certain things, whether they've chosen to come back with certain tasks to help raise the consciousness of, humanity and stuff, I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. In terms of what I see and how I do it, is one thing I know is that whatever, vibration is a fancy word, the state that we live from has a ripple effect to everything and everyone around us, right? In terms of everything, in terms of love, heart, growth, and everything else. You'll also find people who, we being where we are now, in the privileged situation that we are now, like you say, you'll find people who, according to us, are in a much unprivileged situation, but if you actually spoke to them, their quality and experience of life is way better than ours. Because we could have all of this materialistic, but the way we're experiencing life is not nearly as good as the way they are. Right? In that sense, they would feel sorry for us, saying, if only you knew that life could be experienced like that. So with things like that, even when we're looking around and we're judging things, we're only judging and looking based on our capacity, and sadly, usually our capacity to mentally think and analyze and understand something. The issue with that is that our mental capacity to think and analyze and everything else is only based on what we've been taught and the influences that we've had in our life. Because what we're disconnected from is living from our heart, from the state of our heart, from the state of our gut, which is where the divine sort of guidance and intelligence and everything else comes from. The way we think about things and the way we intellectualize stuff is only based on what we've been fed. So we only have a certain view with which we look at things. And then we feel guilty about it, right? The guilt sometimes comes from this idea that there's not, look, say if, for example, just hypothetically, you decided, I'm going to cut 150 pounds off my expenses every month so that I can send it to wherever you feel like people need stuff, and that's your way. That's assuming that there isn't enough. That's assuming that you keeping those 150 pound expenses means that you're taking something that somebody else would benefit from. That's coming from a space of like there's limited stuff. That in itself is a taught habit that we've been given, that there's scarcity, that there isn't enough, that you've got to fight for more, that there's competition and everything else. Is that really true? Because if it is, that challenges the whole idea of, God being, the infinite provider and creator, for example. Right? Even, so the guilt and holding back and cutting back, I'm not sure that's the way to go. What I do feel is that the more of us who can start living from this space of soul, the more of us who can start living from this space of heart, that's going to spread. That's going to spread into our generations. They're going to start living life from a different place. And when it comes to energetic stuff, that travels across oceans. Right? That goes global, I think. Not the materialistic stuff. I've spoken to people who are like billionaires. They have enough where their entire generations, 2 generations, even if they spent whatever they wanted, buy gold bars for the hell of it, they weren't going to run out of money. And this person I spoke to, the biggest challenge in his life, the biggest thing that ate away at him, was feeling insecure about finance. That what if he didn't live something for who? Right? You think, what the hell? But that was his experience of life. And you could have somebody in the war zone who thinks they have everything. I don't know. Let's play with it. See what happens. Right. Who shall I pick?
Thank you. I have got one quick question. You have said that we can plan our life, we can decide our our goal, what we want to do. But from when we're born, or even before we're born, has God not planned out how our life is going to go and what will happen?
Thank you.
I love your question, and here's why I love your question. When we think about planning and when we think about our goals, most of us think about thinking from our head, right? For example, the society that we live in, you need to get the 11 plus first, right? And then you've got to get GCSEs, and then your A levels, and then university, and then you've got to do this. And so we plan, okay, this is our goals, and we'll go like this, and then the retirement age, we've already been told, is 65, and then we think, we want to go early. So we want to go earlier than 65. I mean, hell, go earlier than 30 if you like. Do you know what I mean? So a lot of us think about planning lives based on what society, families, people, expectations have already imposed on us, right? The reason why I use the word desire, and one of the questions I was expecting was maybe, is desire vain? Your soul's desire, I don't think, can be at odds with the divine intention for your life. It's one and the same, right? Because look, if God has, say it's true what you said about God planning your life, say that's true. How are you going to know what that plan is? And if you're planning according to what society is dictating, God's planning one thing, you're going another way, then what? This is why people, come to like their 40s, 50s, and they've done everything, they've achieved everything, but there's something in them that's saying, I have all of this, but there's something missing, right? Because the agenda got split. The agenda that we came in and what we end up pursuing are at odds. So your heart's desire, your truest desire, that when that comes through, that's what you want. Not what you should want, not what you should have. That's what you really want. That, I don't think, can ever be different from the blueprint that's on your soul that you come in with, which is the agenda for your life. I think it's one and the same. Okay, for those of you who couldn't see, I've been asked to finish off. I don't know how to finish off. I need better instructions. So thank you. No, actually, I'll just I'll just hand it over to the professionals. Oh, I'll say. Actually, I do have one thing to say. Thank you. The one thing that I will say is, I don't know why it just occurred to me to say it, is I truly believe that whatever comes through, like in these talks, in these questions, in these discussions and everything else, is never, I don't think, an accident. Like even the words that come through and everything, if we're coming at it from a place of openness, it is what was meant to be said. There's always the hand of God in it, in the questions that come, of the words that come through from all of us, and so I feel very grateful to be here with you guys.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, just a few announcements. Time for Change is introducing Junior 2K Parkrun with T4F, Time for Fun, for ages 4 to 14 every Sunday at 9 a.m. starting from this Sunday, 20th April. This is a great way for the whole family to see friends and keep fit. Please fill the poll on the WhatsApp group by tonight with your preferred location. More details will follow soon. Our next program will be on Thursday, 1st May, in conjunction with AMI Library, a talk by Dr. Murtaza Karimi Nia on the Mashhad Codex, a unique opportunity to see a Quran dating back to the 1st century and learn about its history. After Maghrib Salah, pizza will be served in the conference room. We kindly request a minimum voluntary donation of £2 per person to help cover the cost of pizza. Finally, can we please all recite Surah Fatiha for all the people suffering in the world and all Mahrameen?